In the farthest northern fjord, where ice merged with the sea, a single hut stood alone. The wind howled through the night, and frozen waves shattered against stone. A blue shield hung on the door, carved with the silver head of a wolf. The girl who lived there was named Sigrún. She was 23 years old. Her long hair shimmered silver white, her eyes burned sapphire blue, and her skin was pale as snow. She was beautiful, but not like a flower. Her beauty was like a sharpened blade, meant to wound those who stared too long. Sigrún had been cast out of her village. The villagers called her the Ice Witch. Water froze at her touch, and her breath turned to snowflakes in the air. Children feared her. Adults whispered her name. Her mother had died in childbirth. Her father vanished the night she was born. Only an old grandmother had raised her. Before dying, the old woman whispered her final words. "You are not the daughter of ice. You are its guardian. One day the ice will call you." Sigrún owned no sword, but she had a shield, the only thing left to her from her mother. At night, the wolf's eyes upon it faintly glowed. Every night she polished the shield with her bare hands, and every night a voice came to her in dreams. "Come, the darkness is waiting." One winter night the sky split apart. Where the northern lights should have danced, a black void opened instead, swallowing the stars. From that void descended a creature, a dragon, but its scales were shadow, its eyes pure emptiness. When it landed upon the fjord, the ice cracked and the sea groaned. Sigrún stepped out of her hut. The dragon fixed its hollow gaze upon her. "Are you the daughter of ice?" it asked, its voice colder than any storm. Sigrún did not answer. She raised her shield. It blazed with light, and the wolf's eyes burned like blue fire. The dragon attacked. Its dark claws tore through the ice as it lunged at her. Sigrún braced herself behind the shield. The shield severed the dragon's claw. From the wound flowed no blood, only void. The darkness clung to Sigrún's arm, black veins spreading beneath her skin. She fell to one knee. Her arm no longer felt cold. It burned, but she did not release the shield. The dragon laughed. "You belong to me now. Give me your ice." Sigrún lifted her head. Her eyes were no longer only blue. Silver light burned within them. "My ice belongs to my mother, my father, and my ancestors," she said, "and I will not give it to you. If you want it, come and take it." She slammed the shield into the ice. The wolf roared. Blue light flooded the fjord. The dragon recoiled, yet the darkness crept deeper into her arm. Sigrún had no sword, but her shield grew sharp along its edges. She charged. With every strike, pieces of darkness were torn from the dragon. It screamed and lashed out, but the shield both defended and cut. With the final blow, the shield pierced the dragon's chest. The beast shattered. The black void in the sky closed. Silence followed, but the northern lights did not return. A grey mist veiled the heavens. A sudden wind rose. The scattered darkness gathered once more. This was the true master, the ancient being who had sent the dragon, craving the essence of ice. From the black mist emerged a horned figure of shadow. "That ice will be mine," it hissed. "Give it willingly, or I will take it." Sigrún raised her shield. "Then come!" she shouted, and charged. The battle began anew. The creature hurled arrows of darkened souls. They dissolved upon the shield's surface. Suddenly, the shield blazed like the northern lights themselves. The light grew so fierce that even Sigrún could no longer see. From the wolf's eyes burst a beam of pure aurora. It struck the creature's heart, and the darkness screamed as it was torn apart. Silence fell over the fjord. Sigrún collapsed to her knees. Her left arm had turned completely black, yet there was no pain. The darkness no longer harmed her. Instead, a cold power flowed through her veins. Sigrún could feel the darkness now. She did not need to fight it. She understood it. In that moment, she realized the truth. The darkness was no longer a curse. It was a weapon. It warned her of enemies, of evil approaching long before the ice itself could speak. The shield shone, but it did not cleanse the darkness, because the ice had protected her and entrusted the darkness to Sigrún. A new symbol appeared upon the shield, a sword. Light condensed and a blade formed in her hand, blue-white as frozen starlight, its hilt forged of silver. Sigrún rose. She no longer spoke only the language of ice. She understood the voice of darkness as well. When she returned to the village, the people recoiled in fear. But Sigrún stood firm. "Do not fear me," she said. "The darkness is not my enemy. I am its master." The villagers knelt. That winter, they lit a fire for the first time. The flames burned blue, for within them lived both Sigrún's ice and her darkness. From that day on, the village bore a new name, Sigrún's Fjord. And every winter, Sigrún looked upon her darkened arm, for she knew when darkness returned, it would be met by darkness itself. For she was no longer just a queen. She was the first to walk between ice and shadow, the Queen of Ice.